With him. I'm still not there. So quiet. Of course, that's when my kids start texting me, right? Alright, 6 o'clock. Good evening. We would like to welcome everybody to the Holbrook City Council meeting for May 14th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Everybody is in attendance except for Councilwoman Church. We will go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilwoman Tafoya, followed by our invocation by Vice Mayor Nelson. If you can rise for the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Father in heaven, we're grateful to be gathered on behalf of the citizens of Holbrook. We're grateful for the moisture that thou hast sent. We're grateful for the people in our community. Please help us to follow thy spirit in all that we do. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. I would like to go ahead and move on to the consent agenda for the April 23rd, 2025 meeting minutes. And the April 23rd, 2025 work session minutes. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to take a look at them. Is there any questions, discussions? Hearing none, we'll open the floor for a motion.
I make a motion to approve the April 23rd, 2025 regular meeting minutes and April 23rd, 2025 work session minutes.
Okay, have a second?
Second.
A second. All right, is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. And let the record note that Councilwoman Church is here as well. Thank you. All right, item number 5, call to the public for non-agenda items.
There are 4, and then this one is non-agricultural.
Okay, perfect. All right, we appreciate the public being here tonight. Just as a reminder, we'll ask you to come up to the podium and speak into the microphone. If you'll tell us your name, we would appreciate it. You'll have 3 minutes to speak on a non-agenda item, and our clerk will let you know when that 3 minutes is up. So we'll just go in the order that we have here. Sammy James, if you'll come to the podium.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. My name is Sammy M. James. I have resided here in the beautiful Holbrook area for 40 years now. So, I have a concern here, but not a question. Anyway, my concern is, I live on 512 Amelia Drive. And there's 2 abandoned homes next to me. One's a brick home and one's an old model mobile home, which is 8 by 40. And the properties are, just wanted to know who the owners are, because right now it's really unsafe conditions. It has a lot of piles of trash and garbage, pest infestations. There's a lot of rats, insects, cockroaches, and yesterday I have a visitor. I never seen a snake in this area. I'm like, oh my gosh. And my concern is it's coming from them 2 buildings. So these conditions can lead to serious health problems for myself, my wife, and our neighbors, we just talk among each other, and we don't know what to do, and we don't know who to call upon. And right now, a safety concern is really like rats. You know, the rats, they have hunter virus, and always see rat, droppings around the house. And I keep my place really in a good shape. So, it's to me, it's opposed like it's a public nuisance. And I hate to look at it almost every day. Because now, it seems like, it's been abandoned for 4 years now. And that place is full of whatever is in there now. And to me, it's safety, it's a health concern to me. And I just, it's an eyesore. And I'm a property owner too. Bought a house here. So I'm calling on you guys, see, is there any way that you guys do something for us? Not just myself, my neighbors. So do you need us to have some sort of signatures for our concerns, for our safety concerns? What can we do? What shall we do? How can we do this? As a community here, I'm standing right before you. I need your help. That's all I needed, because, I really need help. Oh, time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, 3 minutes, quick.
Mr. James, so we can't have a discussion, but we can ask administration to talk to code enforcement, and we have your phone number here and your address,
Right.
and we'll ask them to look into it and reach out to you, okay?
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you for coming tonight,
Thank
Bill,
you.
we do appreciate it. All right, next we have Andrew Mestis.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. Well, it's been a long time since I've been in here, the place got smaller. And I reminded myself that I'm small and run out. I've got 2 issues, very short. They can be resolved very easily. One is the corner of my property, EMS made an extension to their facility there years ago. I didn't say too much to them at the time. I tried to, they flipped the finger at me. That was the end of that. I didn't bother them anymore. They used it for many years to do their service to the community. I allowed it to happen. They left. City took over the property. Still hasn't listened to me that property is private. I haven't got any response from city managers, all the way back to Tulsa's, interim city manager, Mr. Sullivan, and the new city manager that didn't last very long. And that's an easy thing to do. I asked for them to look at the record, the county. I have a survey. In other words, I've got the cards. I've got the deed, survey, I've got power insurance on the property, and I want something done about it. Unfortunately, I'm asking if it's necessary, just tear it down. The second thing is the city park next to us, which isn't a park at all, but it is next to a little league field that I used to play on when I was a kid. It's baseball. The only man I was ever afraid of was Barrow. Mr. Barrow. He set me straight, and I think I did come out okay. But I can't please anybody. I don't know the secret for success. I know the secret for failure is trying to please everybody. Cannot be done. There's toxic stuff there, there's cement, there's asphalt, there's dust, there's heavy loaders. You have to remember, even though you don't think so, the city has plenty of money. It's got plenty of policemen with tasers and billy clubs and guns, and it has skip loaders and bulldozers and all that kind of stuff, which I can't have and I can't afford. So please, take it upon yourself to ask your management if they do it. It's not do any good to tell them and nothing's done. Do something about it. It was supposed to be an extension of the graveyard. I've gone on record last time I was here saying graveyards make good neighbors. Had no problem with that. A garbage dump does not. A transport station for the trash is not. A young man talked about cockroaches and rats and stuff like that. I've suffered through that. Believe me, it's no fun. I used to pick up the garbage of people in the wind. You all know we have wind in this town. They would throw over on our property. Never had to say a word
Time.
about it. Thank you kindly for the attention.
Mr. Messes, I'll tell you the same thing that we told Mr.
Thank you.
James, that we appreciate you coming in and we'll look into that. Thank you. All right. Next we have Lloyd Johnson.
Good evening, I'm Lloyd Johnson, running for state senate. Last time around I ran for state representative. I did not win, but I did get well over 25,000 votes. So I figured that's a good place to start this time around. In fact, November 14th, I wasn't able to sign up online, so I got a hold of the Secretary of State's office, asked them when can I sign up. They emailed me the form, I sent it right back to them, so November 14th I was signed up. A family member asked my wife how I was taking losing, and she told her, hey, he's already signed up for next round. So, but my big push is trade schools. I think we should be all throughout the district, this is the biggest district, LD6, biggest district in the state. I'm wanting to push trades in high schools and junior colleges and wherever I can push them at. We need better job opportunities for the young people. We need to encourage work ethics for the young people. The complaint that I heard the most when I was running last time around, that there's so many tradesmen, they're retiring out of the system, but their frustration is there are no young people to step up. So I'm wanting to push for that, as well as other things that we need, and push against things we don't need. So, yeah, so appreciate support, appreciate mostly prayer. I do need signatures. I've got my signature form with me. I've got contribution forms with me. The biggest thing is prayer. Appreciate your time. Name again, Lloyd Johnson, running for state senate.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. And last but definitely not least, we've got Colleen Marsh. So we've got you down for a non-agenda item and an agenda item. So we'll probably just go into the next one since you're both. Is that all right? So we'll give you 5. Is
You
that
know what? I've got
minutes?
this fancy little watch that'll tell me when I'm done with 3 minutes, so I'll make sure to switch the topics between, if that's okay. Does that work for you, Lisa? Okay, I'm putting on the 3-minute timer. Okay, so I'm first addressing the non-agenda item. I'm Colleen Marsh, and I'm very honored to be here. Thank you, council, for hearing us for 3 minutes about the budget. So I know this is on your working session agenda, and we reviewed the budget online. And just cutting to the chase, we really wanted to encourage that council helps amend the animal control budget to include at minimum 2.5 full-time equivalent staff, and actually increasing your money for the needed materials. We're seeing, if I'm just going to address those two in reverse order, that food and vaccinations are increasingly expensive, and we are not forking the money over to pay for those foods. We're actually having to beg our community to donate food to cover for the animals that are at our shelter. So we would really love to see that both those items, the materials and the food budget items, are increased to cover for the animals that are there, so that we can actually not exhaust our community members and their donations. Very generous. We'd love for them to focus elsewhere to cover the really nice to have things that are about enrichment. But at the basis, we believe that the city and the shelter, their budget should be about compliance, public health, public safety. So that includes at minimum feeding the animals that are there. And about the 2.5 full-time equivalent staff, we actually had this year. It doesn't show in the budget, but you had 2 animal control officers, Brandon and Shay, as well as a part-time kennel technician. And I can only tell you, the results were incredible. The amount of adoptions that we've had has incredibly increased because these animals are actually having more time spent with them, with volunteers and with staff, and that helps overall the health and safety of the animals in the shelter.
they're getting outside, they're getting watered, clean, fed to the standard, and that's what really this request is about. There are more standards, there are increased standards for the care, the feeding, the watering, the cleaning at the shelter. Even today, the state vet came to inspect the shelter. So this is something where there's more enforcement, and you guys, I really hope that you put more effort into budget to staff adequately at the shelter. We will, as the Friends Group, continue our part, but our mission is separate from what the shelter operations are. So just in those division of responsibilities, it's not a no-kill shelter. That's only, the live outcomes are only happening because of good work that is happening in the community of advertising those animals that are adoptable. So at minimum for compliance, you really do need more staff at the shelter. I can move on to the 5-minute portion. Oh, there it goes, the 3-minute timer just went off.
Actually, since you're there, we'll just do it properly, if you'll just pause for a
Please.
second then. So there's no more non-agenda items, correct?
Correct.
All right, so we'll move on to item number 6, call the public for agenda items, so we'll give.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Wonderful, and here's my 5-minute timer. Okay, greetings again. Name is Colleen Marsh. I'm here representing the Friends of the Holbrook Animal Shelter. I didn't tell you last time, but I've been on the board for the last 9 years. It's an all-women board. We are very proud of the results that we've been able to help the shelter achieve. But just to give background to this, so this is addressing the agenda, specifically the ordinances that are being proposed today. We're really quite in support of adding anything that can help with the definition of standards of enforcement and help make those standards of enforcement and proper standards of care for our community pets quite clear so that it's enforceable, trainable, something that we can also help support. Our mission is actually 2 parts as the Friends of the Shelter. We are here to support increasing live outcomes at the shelter, meaning reducing euthanasia as much as possible, supporting the health and wellness, enrichment, promoting adoptions, all of those good things that we can support as a nonprofit. And then the second part is increasing the health and welfare of our community pets. So we do have a role here, and a good example of this, just to highlight, is we apply for spay and neuter grants. That helps in both missions to say our community pets, we would like to make sure we control the population, making sure that people who would like to adopt animals and can't afford the required spay and neuter, that cost is covered for them. So that helps their community, the community pets' health. And then we also, by having spay and neuter grants can also help make more animals adoptable. So helping create more capacity at the shelter for more intakes where possible. So just keeping in mind that's a 2-part mission. And when it comes to ordinances, we do see a lot of conditions in the community that are hard gray spaces, that are really hard, difficult to enforce, hard to be clear, tragic situations that could be helped if you had a higher standard, defining what it actually qualifies as proper care for your community pets. We're very much in support of these ordinances as well. And look, I'm gonna save you 2.5 minutes for my 5 minutes.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Council.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming in. All right. There is no other one, correct? Lisa?
No, that's all.
Thank you. All right. Item number 7, old business. This is discussing the Holbrook Graffiti Task Force. If you look at tab 2, so basically tonight, we just want to follow up with our conversation from 2 weeks ago about the graffiti issue throughout town. We talked about creating this initiative to invite local residents to take part in identifying and removing graffiti within city limits, helping to restore and preserve Holbrook's unique character. The task force will operate under city guidance and be provided with supplies, training, and equipment necessary for safe and effective graffiti abatement. Volunteers may also assist in tracking graffiti activity, documenting cleanup efforts, and promoting awareness. So as a first step, city staff has prepared a graffiti volunteer welcome letter and a volunteer application for review. So if you look at the 2 attachments there, they're just a volunteer letter for any potential person that wants to be a volunteer. Basically, thank you for your interest. I just want you to go down to paragraph 3 talks about the city will provide necessary materials to support the cleanup efforts. The next paragraph says volunteers will also be provided with a camera to take before and after photos and will be asked to complete a brief volunteer graffiti report for each cleanup location. Once work is completed, all supplies will need to be returned to the designated storage area. We'll get the information form and safety guidelines moving forward, but then we'll ask them to fill out an application and send it into City Hall. Anyway, so the next page is just a really simple application form, basically looking for somebody over 21 years old. And their commitment would be, said volunteers will conduct graffiti abatement activities within the city of Holbrook. Volunteers will initially conduct activities with an experienced volunteer in the program. After the startup period, volunteers are permitted to work on their own if desired. Volunteers will participate in online and short classroom training for safety while working in this program. So our goal is to get maybe 3 to 5 volunteers to begin with. I spoke with Mr. Sullivan earlier. He has a couple of ideas for potential staff members that can kind of lead the volunteers and getting them started and getting them trained, because we want to make sure it's a cohesive mission and group everybody's on the same page and what their assignments are and responsibilities, and they will go with staff until the staff member feels like they've got it, a good understanding of what's going on. But so these are kind of what we're just kind of proposing tonight. If anybody has any questions or we're on the right direction, do we need to change anything? Councilwoman Pacheco, you have a question or comment? I can tell. So yeah.
So it says you have to be over 21.
Yeah, that's something we can debate.
Because I mean, I know there's a lot of groups of kids, school groups that are always looking for community service hours. Same with like probationers, and
So I think that's different though. So this would be the task force
the
committee.
okay.
And I think that task force committee could then go work with individual organizations like youth groups, and then they would kind of be the lead liaison on those for individual projects. But this would be just an actual task force, somebody that gets together with those other 3 to 5 volunteers for the training. So it's more of a commitment, time
Okay, so
commitment.
it's like heading it.
Yeah.
The volunteering work.
But I think that's a great lead-in though, once we get those volunteers, and then, man, if each of those 5 volunteers could go work with 5 organizations and, you know, hit some projects, I think that's a good way to really magnify the process or the progress. So good
Is
question.
there a reason why they have to be over 21?
No, just liability, sometimes 21 is just a good number, but that's why we're gonna discuss it here. I'm good with 18 too, but, and it could even be 16 and up, but I mean, if you felt like it. 18 might be good with the liability sake, for insurance. Councilwoman Pack, did you have a?
Yeah, I think, maybe, like, I don't know, when I imagine a group of vandals or graffiti group, I'm wondering, am I thinking teenagers or 20-year-olders or 30s, you know? I'm thinking high school, so perhaps having a little bit younger to do the task force, they might have more.
We have an inside lead?
Yeah.
Just
Like, how do I
quit
put
doing
this?
this on the back wall because I got nobody left.
Yeah.
You know what? The new Tractor Supply building was tagged just
Really?
recently, and it might have set them back a whole day from moving in. You know, and I'm thinking it might be just a small group of people,
Yeah.
creative people, probably women in their 60s.
Yeah, I don't know,
No.
maybe
Thanks,
we
Mike,
should
thanks.
hire.
I'm gonna be on the task force.
No, I think it's probably just a small group of people, and we can help our law enforcement. When we see something, I think we need to say something to.
You know, and I think about it, like if my son was on it and he's in high school and he had to clean up after him,
Yeah.
he sure as heck gonna find out if it's doing
Well, and
it.
cause they will talk at school.
Yeah.
They do talk, so it might be good to have high school.
Now, however, if we say we're gonna send them out on their own, do we want 16-year-olds on somebody's private property? That's the thing too. So I think at a minimum it should be 18.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we
True.
should be able to invite the younger
Right,
groups
yeah,
to come
maybe for ideas
Yeah.
and leads.
and those
Yeah.
connections, but.
And do you say every volunteer will be provided a camera? Is that what
Well,
you're saying here?
not provided. We
It's
need
like
to tweak
a
that.
cheap Kodak. Just-
You know,
May or
almost
may not have been checked.
everybody has a camera that's over till 12 now.
Exactly, yeah. So, we can change that verbiage there, provided with camera. So,
I'm
you're right, volunteers will, I agree with that, let's take that out. will take pictures, so we will not provide a camera. So, we get Polaroids. They're expensive though. So,
Yeah.
So, a good catch on that. And that's it. I just kind of wanted you guys to go through these, see what works, what doesn't. So we can go back to the age. I'm thinking to at least, when they go on their own, they should be at least 18. If we're saying you can go on their own. How do you guys feel about 18? You guys, okay, over 18. Or we can say 16 with an adult or
adult.
something, right? So,
Yeah.
or we can even put 14 and up with an adult, right, on the committee as well. 14 and up with an adult. You guys good with that? 14 and up with an adult? Okay. Because you're right, I don't want to discourage anybody, because we do have a lot of civic-minded youth. And like you said, they might be our best, you know.
And normally if you're 14,
I know who did that.
they're not pretty responsible if they're trying to
Exactly.
volunteer.
So, all right. If you guys like this direction, what we'll do, if you guys are good with this, I would like to go ahead and start advertising for volunteers for the task force. So we're not taking it necessarily to a vote, but just more of a consent. And what'll happen when we get the members, the task force, and create that actual committee, then we bring those names to the council for consent. So, is everybody good moving forward? Any concerns though? Okay, we'll continue and thank you guys. It'll be good, so we wanna get it, we'll start advertising it right away. Mr. White, feel free to go ahead and advertise that for us, we appreciate that, so. All right, moving on to item number 8, new business. This is ordinance 25-04, this is a first reading. So tonight we will have a discussion on it, see if there's any edits or changes we need, as long as that super major, we'll go ahead and do our second reading at the next meeting. If there's, we feel like at the end we need to do another first reading, we can do that as well. But let's go ahead and I'm gonna read, just the background discussion. So city staff and the council have had work sessions and discussions on updating these chapters of the city code and making them more clearly defined, as well as adding swine into the code. This ordinance makes all the recommended changes to date. So we have had a couple of different meetings on this. I'll go ahead and just read the ordinance by header right now, and then we will discuss the ordinance. And we appreciate Brandon being here as well to answer any questions. Ordinance number 2025-04, an ordinance of the council of the city of Holbrook, Arizona, amending the code of Holbrook, Arizona, Chapter 3, Public Health and Safety, Article 3-5, Animals, and Article 3-6, Dogs, declaring the City of Holbrook City Code amendments to Chapter 3-5, Animal Control in Chapter 3-6, Dogs, date 2025, a public record, adopting the City of Holbrook City Code amendments to Chapter 3-5, Animal Control, and Chapter 3-6, Dogs, date 2025, by reference, providing for severability, providing for penalties, and establishing an effective date. So, it's a long ordinance, so we won't read through all of it. We have had some work sessions. But as you remember, as you go through it, some things are like, they have like strike-throughs, so you know what's been changed. For example, like page 5, you know, change the description or the definitions of animals or animals. Like Brandon had talked about us before, it's like, hey, we needed to add reptiles and things like that to it that weren't there before. So, minus the swine portion of it, does anybody have any questions or concerns? These were, like we said, the changes we discussed. They took it back to Brandon and then the attorney to go through it.
Yeah, the only additional thing on this was during the last work session and the last council was to try to introduce the swine section. Brandon worked on getting that wrote, so that's included in this, depending on how council wants to move forward with that or not.
So I'm gonna break it up into 2 parts though for now. So minus the swine, does anybody have any questions or concerns about those other ordinances or the changes?
I just see a
Perfect, where were you at? So,
page 9.
Page 9, there's a typo,
F.
9F,
It shouldn't be a capital S. Should it?
damages, yeah, it should not be capital S. Unless you're trying to emphasize damages.
Where is this at?
Page 9, letter F, damages, there's a capital S.
It's just a typo.
Oh,
Good catch. Okay. All right. So no discussion on that one. Okay. So let's move on to the swine ordinance, which is on, I highlighted, page 10.
Page 10,
3-8-78 swine. So we talked about a few of these.
Well, let me tell you, I interviewed 15 people about this, and 14 people were so against it. This is not a popular thing for us to pass in the city of Holbrook. Well, some of the things were, well, it's good, you know, this family wants to do 4-H right now, but how about in 3 years? And they say, well, my neighbors had pigs 3 years ago, they're all out of high school now. And also, I'm looking at Brandon, and do we really have the enforcement to go and enforce this? He's already up to his eyeballs in other things, and so I'm thinking it might be well just to eliminate it back out. However, it is brilliantly written. It was very
Yeah.
well written.
Well, just to answer your question about the enforcement part of it, say this year there's only 1 or 2, we could handle that. Next year, if we get 20 people that wants it, I'm gonna be honest, we wouldn't have the manpower. Because most of these activities, you have a limited period to get your pig to actually start working with them. So if it takes us 2 months to inspect 20 properties, that kid already might be too far gone to even do the project. Or it's not beneficial at that point, because right now, if it's just 1 or 2, that's one thing, but if in a year, and that was something I thought about when I was writing this, is if in a year we get 20 or more applicants, we wouldn't have the manpower reasonably and fast enough to inspect that many properties.
Yeah, we appreciate that. So I know we have some other comments too. We'll go with Councilwoman DeFoy, then Councilman Blair.
Okay, I talked to several people as well. Some of them were mixed, some of them weren't. I wrote down some of my concerns about it, and, you know, one was, I know when citizens bought homes here, they may have bought their home knowing they did not purchase a home in a agricultural land or near agricultural land. And some of them did, because they want the agricultural land. And if we were to approve them getting swine, they could have a swine anywhere in the city of Holbrook. It could be over by my house, it could be over there, it could be on Spurlock, you know, wherever, that there was a child that was in 4-H, and for educational purposes, they could get a swine, get a permit and have a swine. My other thing is in 4-H and FFA, besides swine, there's other livestock that can be raised for market project, is what a swine, they're doing with the swine, is for a market project for 4-H. And those other things are cattle, sheep, goats, there's several different ones. So if we approve a swine for these people, what if the next child that's in 4-H wants to do a calf or a sheep or a goat? How can we tell one child no, they can't, but we have another one that we've said yes to a swine? I just think it's gonna open a whole can of worms down the road that I don't know if we really need to open that at this point. And then my other thing was the permit situation. Would our animal control be able to keep up with the permits and make sure they're being enforced and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing with those permits? And I feel we have designated agricultural land that if they really want to have a swine, they can do it on agricultural land, if that's something that they really want to do. That's just my 2 cents.
I appreciate it, so thank you. Councilman Black?
Well, I think most of the things I was gonna talk about has been addressed, but I think when we make decisions, we're kind of drifting sometimes, and I think when we make decisions as a city council, we need to make them good for the people of Holbrook, not just a few. I mean, and I think sometimes as council members, we're letting religion, friends, or family, I've seen this, I know this happens, is interfering with what decisions we're making here. We need to get away from that. Just make decisions based on the city of Holbrook and our citizens. every single one of them I talked to said, absolutely not. We do not want swine in our city limits. They said, we bought houses here knowing that they weren't around us, and so now if you allow this to happen, what are we gonna have to do, move to get away from this? So that, there's not been one person that's been for this, so. Anyway, I think I was a little worried listening to the last few discussions of the city council when we was talking about this. I was worried about the direction that we were going, but it sounds like, in my opinion, we're heading in the right direction from some of the comments I've been hearing. And again, enforcement, I mean, it could get crazy. We don't need to get, we're already struggling, we don't need to get in the middle of this, so.
Right, thank
That's
you.
it.
Any other comments? I'll add my opinion as well to that. My concern is as well that we'll let the 10-year-old or the 12-year-old do swine for educational purposes and things like that, but yet we may turn around and tell another homeowner that they can't raise a pig that they can butcher and use for food for their family. And so I just don't think that's right to be able to say yes for one, and those kids make money off it too. Yes, they're learning too, but who says the 40-year-old said, well, I'm doing it for educational purposes too, to teach my family and to also help feed my family. And so I agree with Councilwoman Tafoya that once we start opening up, it's not fair for all. And to Councilman Black's point, it's like we are here for the majority of the community. So, any other questions? Did you have a
There
comment,
was one
Joe?
other thing, like in section 3.5-4, where it talks about you can be fined if your dog barks, whines, howls, crows, or burrows in excessive manner which disturbs the public peace. I think if you just leave pigs out, you won't have to put in there stinks. You know, because that could be just as offensive as somebody's dog barking all night. That's all I had to say. And that I think that we should separate it out and vote on it separate.
Yeah. Well, what we can do is, like I said, this is for the ordinance. So what we can say, and like Councilman Black said, I think at least the consensus at this point, and the vote can change next week. For now, so for the next reading, we'll go ahead and omit this section. Feel like at this point, we've got at least 4 kind of leaning that way, and the others haven't spoken up. So we admit it, and then, so when we go for the second reading, we can just make sure it's omitted in the motion, or we can actually remove it between now and then. So we'll address it then. Does anybody have any further comments? So for
The same thing. Anybody I talked to, they weren't just against it, they were really against it. Just mainly for the smell, you know, and it is opening a can of worms, I think.
But we do appreciate you taking the time to write it up.
No, and that's no problem. I just wrote either way. Cause like right now, we do get complaints. I just had one a week ago about a pig in town, and it was someone raising it for butcher. So we do get complaints, so it is.
But when you get a complaint, it's pretty easy to
Yeah.
go take care of it.
And then if it was to pass, it would be a little harder.
Right.
Because,
I have one question on this. Where does pot-bellied pigs fit in here?
they're not allowed either. There's no exemption. Swine includes pot-bellied pigs.
Okay.
Some cities do allow pot-bellied pigs. They're usually the Vietnamese breed, because they usually stay smaller, so some cities do allow them, some cities don't. But under our current ordinance, all swine, aka pigs, are illegal in the city limits unless it's agricultural land. As it currently stands, that's how it's written.
Okay.
And I do want to thank the family that came in and did it the right way.
Yep.
They had a request.
Yeah.
They petitioned the council for it. We did our due diligence of researching it and, you know, giving it thought. And then in the end, this is how it's supposed to work. So we do appreciate them doing it. And
I
so-
agree.
All right. Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and move on to item number B, Resolution 25-03, amending the fees for the City of Holbrook bulk water station. I'll go ahead and read the background and discussion. City staff and the council have had work sessions and discussions on updating these chapters. No, I'm still swine. City purchased a bulk water station to control the water usage. Fees have been discussed during work sessions, and this fee needs to be increased to cover these additional charges. The current charges are $2.84 per unit. The rate is extremely inexpensive for the volume that is getting used. Furthermore, the city purchased a bulk water station and needs to recoup a larger portion of the expenses. This will allow the city to recoup its costs quickly while also allowing the city to have better control over the water. The new rate of $22 per unit will align out of the city rates with our in-city rates, which include a base rate of $8.19, $2.53 per unit, $5 water preservation, and a $2.50 water capital charge. I want to just turn the time over to Mr. Sullivan to add anything to this. We have had some discussions about it, but do you want to?
Yeah, we've had several work sessions on this. This has been a big one as we're trying to get the water station up and running. Once we get that up and running, we would like to have that rate on that machine active. If this gets approved tonight, it won't go into effect until 30 days afterwards. So it's kind of a new rate and an increased rate. During the discussions, we were trying to come up with a dollar value. We had Winslow and other communities around us give us their bulk water rates, and this would put us right in line with that. And it makes sense just because we're backing up with our existing rates. And by the time you add the 8, the 250, the 5 for the water preservation, and the 250 for capital, you're right around that $22 range. So.
And we appreciate the efforts that have gone into this. And this will also remove the water filling station from here out to the new location, correct?
Yeah.
So,
And then
did you-
once we get this done too, we'll plan on doing it for the construction water. And we'll have to build a station out there for the construction water too. But I would like to get this one up and running, and then we can move forward with another one.
All right, thank you, Councilman.
I think I was just gonna talk about is the McClaws, where you turn off to McClaws Road, is that the construction
That's where
water
we're
you're
gonna
talking
end up.
about?
Yes, and we're planning on building that corner out and putting this one over there as well. That way they can fill, we'll have like 2 lanes to where they could fill bulk from the standpipe and from this, with this machine.
So the construction water area then would also be charged
22
this?
22 per thousand is what we're suggesting with this rate. All bulk water.
Okay.
Councilman Black?
I have a question on it. Just for clarification, that's a salty well.
Correct.
The people that are needing our water for Adamana, for that algae project out there,
Yes.
I don't think they can
No,
use
they
that.
won't, and we're gonna tie into, an 8-inch water main over there that's tied to our good water system for that side. So the construction well will still be separate on its own well, and then we'll tap into our water main by that hydrant for the good water.
Okay, so looking at all these construction projects that you're looking at out there, what's your time frame?
What's that?
What's your time frame on getting this completed?
Well,
That whole corner and getting this whole water situation
yeah,
completed?
within the next couple of months. I mean, these rates won't, if they pass tonight, they won't go into effect for 30 days. So we're looking at the beginning of the fiscal year, hopefully into June, July, that we would be able to have that over there.
So Randy, let's say I live out at Adamana and I've got one of those 300-gallon tanks in the back of my pickup. Is that $22?
No, so
that's
what
per
we'll do,
thousand.
it's still gonna be $22 per thousand. So once you put that in, you'll pay your $22, you'll get 1,000 gallons. If you only pump 3, you got 700 left off
You get a
that.
credit.
So you get a
Yeah.
credit, alright.
Okay.
Good question.
And so physically, the good water and the bad water is gonna be at that turnoff on McClaws Road?
Yep.
I think that's smart.
And then that way we'll have basically 2 lanes to where they'll be able to use that. And with this new machine too, they'll be able to access it 24/7. So nights and weekends, it'll be locked up in that box, and they'll have to come in with their loaded $22 or however much they want to preload their gallons with on that machine.
Now, let me ask you one more question. This metering device that you have, that we've already purchased, right? There's no, So it's the thing that you put your card in and to get how many gallons you
Well,
want,
this
right?
one's gonna be both ways, so you could prepay online and it'll upload into that and keep track of the meters and how much you use. And, we have options to, they could sign up and get a PIN number to where all they have to do is plunk in a PIN number and it just takes it off automatically on their balance.
Okay, I was trying to get away from having to order a secondary metering device, but it's
No,
not
no,
possible.
there's a meter inside of this that will monitor the usage.
I understand that, but that's only good for one side. That's only good for the salty or the other. We're gonna have to get another meter.
Yeah,
And I was-
for the construction one, we'll have to build another meter.
There's no way, no way we can incorporate this meter to do both of
No,
them.
we might be able to go with the same company and build another box similar to that for the construction side. But I'll have to go out to bid and come
can't switch
and bring that
power
back
to
to you
non-power.
guys, so,
Now, is this an inline meter?
I believe it is, I believe it is.
So, Mayor,
Yes.
Randy, are we gonna have proper security to guard
Yeah,
against?
that's one of the other things that we were concerned about, so we will, plan on putting a fence around it to help protect that. However, the front screen will have to be left open. So we'll have to come up with some cameras or some other additional security over there to help monitor vandalism if we have any.
Never know about the 60-year-old.
Randy,
Yeah,
what will the rate be for the construction water?
same thing,
The same.
$22 per 1,000 gallons is what we're recommending.
And it doesn't matter if those people from like far out of town, the
Right,
price is the same.
right, we're suggesting the same rate.
Will you be bringing us another resolution for that,
For what?
for the construction?
No, it's all
It's all part of it.
included, in the bulk, we're calling it the bulk water.
Could be a revenue source.
You say, yeah,
Especially if
Well, our
Yeah,
water's
we're-
been so cheap.
We're only getting $2.83 per thousand, we're
all these
suggesting the
all these
22.
people coming out of town to get our water.
so if we wanna increase the construction water, what's our process?
To even more than the 22,
Correct,
then, yeah, I could bring you back another
resolution for that?
resolution if that's something you guys.
What's our
Our
purpose
interest.
behind that?
Well, if people are using our water from not around town. Who's doing the construction?
Well, I mean, I'm just asking the question because it's all going out to that new solar place out there.
Yeah.
They're filling up a bunch and then some of your ranchers around here use that water for their cows. The cows will apparently drink it.
They'll drink the salt water?
Apparently, because the guys out there at Pass Reed Heads, they come in there and get that water all the time.
So
But I think that's why you're calling it construction, is it's not,
Yeah, I'm calling it construction and I'm calling it all bulk water.
So if you add all this up, it's $17.22, right? The 819 and the 253 and the 5 and the 250 is 17.22. So that leaves a little profit margin, a little revenue for the city.
And that's the piece that I was recommending to increase it to, because then we'd be able to pay for that machine that we already bought.
Right.
And then hopefully the return on investment is there because of that.
well, I mean, let's look at it. They're getting our construction water right now for $2.84 a unit. So if we increase it to 22, I mean, my goodness, right there's a whole bunch of,
It could be substantial.
900%.
yeah.
So for now, so
Just
but for
leave it.
tonight, the resolution will count for both of those. And so, I'll go ahead, we'll keep having discussion, but I'm gonna go ahead and read the resolution. Resolution 25-03, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Holbrook City, Navajo County, Arizona, amending the fees with the city of Holbrook bulk water station. Whereas the city of Holbrook operates bulk water stations for potable and construction water and charges fees to operate and maintain said stations. And whereas the expenses of operating the bulk water stations need to be offset by the fees collected. And whereas the mayor and council have determined that it is in the best interest of the citizens to amend the fees. Now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and council of the city of Holbrook, Arizona, section 1, following fees shall be charged and collected for usage of our bulk water stations, A, $22 per unit for 1,000 gallons. Section 2, the mayor is authorized to execute the resolution. Section 3, the city manager is authorized to implement the new fees. Any further discussion?
On this $22, So are they gonna be paying more than what city residents currently pay for on their water bill?
By $2.
Yeah,
It's gonna
it'll
be $2 more than what we pay.
But that offsets the expense of the
Machine
machine and upkeep, so,
and security.
yeah.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
just saying, I think it should be
Yeah.
And you
more
keep
than
on
what
just
the
adding, Mike.
citizens are paying if we're,
No,
Well, I
yeah,
mean-
yeah.
I think it should be,
You know,
okay.
I think it's a good proposal.
I like it.
Okay, well, with that, we'll open the floor for a motion.
I make a motion to, what am I approving? Approve resolution 25-3, amending the fees for the city of Holbrook bulk water station.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it. Oh,
I think
she got it.
Karina got it. Right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take to a roll call vote.
Okay, Councilmember Black,
Aye.
Councilmember Church,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nielsen,
I,
Councilmember Pacheco,
Aye.
Councilmember Pack,
Aye.
Councilmember Tafoya,
Aye.
Mayor Smith.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. I know that's been on a lot of council members' docket for quite a while, so I'm glad to see that resolved.
Me too.
All right, item number 8, resolution 25-04 for transfer station fees. Background and discussion. During the work session for fee increases, the council showed interest in charging new rates on residential bills for the use of the transfer station. This rate would create enough revenues to offset the collections we currently charge and allow residents who pay this new fee on their bills to have free dumping at our transfer station. This will help residents be more willing to clean up their properties. Financial implications. The city currently is on pace to collect $19,000 in transfer station fees. This would allow the city to collect $53,000 to offset the free dumping site. It is recommended that non-residential and out-of-city customers be charged at the current rates established by Resolution 20-14. The request for council is to approve Resolution 25-04 to include a residential transfer station fee of $2.50 per month for every city residential customer. I think it's the next over there. So we talked about this, and I think I wasn't here for the cleanup day, but I heard that there was a line for about an hour trying to dump that day. We offered free dumping services.
one person went 7 times.
I went 5, just picking up stuff in the alley.
And I think there's a need for it, because we talked about it in our work session that I know we've been personally charged twice in one day. We went with one truckload, cost me $80. We went back the same day and it cost $120. We spent $200 in one day just to dump, and that's why people do the wildcat dumping, because it was so expensive the other way. So this $250 a month, what is that, Mike? 12 times $250, $30 a year.
It would especially help the seniors.
And it's kind of misleading because you're saying free dump,
It is, yeah.
but you're just paying the $250 and you're having unlimited access.
And that's,
To be clear with
that's
that.
one big
Yeah.
trailer.
Right, and that's how I've explained it to everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You'll
So
pay
it's not
$2.50,
technically free because you are paying for it.
but you can
but-
go 10 times in 1 month for $2.50.
Exactly, yeah.
And I did want to make sure that it was separate from commercial or construction people, something like that. This was mainly geared towards residential customers. And hopefully this helps Barbara and do her job too, where, you know, there's no excuses if you pass this tonight.
So what are the
Go dump.
what are the construction rates?
Well, it's the same thing as what we do now, depending on the size of the load and what's in it, those kind of things.
Yeah, they are.
So like the school district, we'd still charge them the way we do that. Any of the hotels for mattresses and all that stuff, we would keep those rates the same. This would be just for residential customers.
And we did talk about that for residential, like the mattress charge, that's part of this $250. You're not charging an
Correct.
additional fee for residential. Sorry, did you have a?
Or a fridge.
So
or a-
that's what I was gonna say, so they won't be charged for mattresses, sofas.
Correct.
Refrigerator?
Yeah, at this
white
point,
goods.
that's my vision, is we would verify that they have a residential account because they have access to our system. And once they do that, it'd be free.
Okay, so let's say you have a senior citizen and they have like a old washer and dryer, but they can't take it to the dump.
they call Mike.
Will the city pick that up
Yeah,
for them?
right now, we usually charge them for a pickup fee, but, I would suggest that we include that in this as well, as long as it's curbside. And they're
So
paying
they
for a
would just have to
service.
get it out to the curb.
They would
and
just
then the
have to
city
get it
would-
to the
I
curb.
think we need to be
Would pick that.
specific what curbside is.
Yeah.
Is that just appliances? Cause like, you don't want people just doing a bunch of
Yeah.
crap
and
out
stuff
front.
Let-
and that's
If you
curbside.
guys pass this tonight, let me work out some of those details and we'll come up with a flyer. That way I can, make sure sanitation is on the same page, and the front desk on something like that. But my vision would be, yeah, this is curbside, let's get this stuff
And
cleaned
I
up.
mean, I have an idea too that we can talk about
Okay,
tomorrow or something.
yep. That's
Yeah, we
something I
could
can
do something
implement
like that.
if you guys wanna go this way, and then we can feel for it. If it's too overburdened, we may have to back up a little bit on some things or something like that, but operational wise, at this point, I would suggest, let's do the curb and let's get it cleaned up.
Do you have insurance over there? At the transfer station?
We do have, yes, it's on.
Good, will you pay for my phone, cause I lost it in the compact. And I can't get it back.
Hey, you're welcome to file a claim. After we send it to AMRP, I don't know what they'll do.
I looked down there and I said, no.
So Mayor, a week ago Sunday, somebody dumped all this where I walk my dog.
And it's a bad mess.
Oh, yeah, I got a call this weekend for that too.
What is that?
And again, hopefully something like this will prevent wildcat dumping, because now there's no
That's right.
reason. If it's already in your truck, go dump it, there's no need to wildcat.
Absolutely. That was gonna be my point,
Yep,
that would have saved.
and
it.
that'll just be more efficient, cause now we gotta send a whole crew out there, load it up in a truck and take it back, and we're out.
It
all of
costs the
that.
city far less to do it this way
Yep,
than to clean up
Yep.
messes like this.
Where
And
was
you
that,
talk-
Mike?
Say it again.
Where was that?
On the X, that's where I walk my dog.
Oh.
So that land belongs to the Williams family, but
yeah. I think actually Mark Jackson texted me and said he loaded it up and took it to the dump, so.
I saw that it was cleaned up and I just assumed that it had been the city. The person that dumped it there made the mistake of leaving a bill with it.
So if that happens and you guys do, get an address of who dumped it, I've turned those over to chief before too, so.
Interesting.
So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and read the resolution. Resolution 25-04. Resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Holbrook City, Navajo County, Arizona, amending the fees for the city of Holbrook transfer station fees. Whereas the city of Holbrook operates a transfer station and charges fees to operate and maintain said station. And whereas the expenses of operating the transfer station need to be offset by the fees collected. Whereas the mayor and council have a strong desire for residents to clean up their properties. Whereas the mayor and council have determined that it is in the best interest of the citizens to amend the fees. Now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and council of the city of Holbrook, Arizona, Section 1, the following fees shall be charged and collected monthly for usage of our transfer stations. A, $2.50 per month per in-city residential customer. B, commercial and out-of-city customers will be charged according to Resolution 20-14 and current rates established by the CPI index. C, allowing city residential customers to dump at the transfer station for free because of this new rate. Section 2, the mayor is authorized to execute the resolution. Section 3, the city manager is authorized to implement the new fees. Any further discussion?
When will this go into effect?
30 days after this gets passed.
Okay, so within that 30 days, will our citizens be notified that they will be getting that additional charge on their bill?
Yeah,
Or-
I'll do, we'll advertise it on Facebook and on our website and all of that.
And in the business.
Okay,
Yeah,
Whoever
and
gets
the
this.
effective date. once we do that.
okay.
Okay. All right, we'll open the floor for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 25-04, amending the fees for the city of Holbrook transfer station fees.
I'll second it.
No.
Go ahead.
I'll second that.
Okay. Thank you. All right, any further discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Councilmember Black,
Aye.
Councilmember Church, Vice Mayor Nielsen,
Aye.
Councilmember Pacheco,
Aye.
Councilmember Pack,
Aye.
Councilmember Tafoya,
Aye.
Mayor Smith.
Aye. Motion passes, thank you. Alright, item number D, new ball field fence. Alright, background and discussion. The city needs another practice field for baseball and softball. Staff have a plan to build out the field next to the pool and make a dual-purpose field for practices. A backstop is needed to help keep balls in play. Staff has reached out for 2 quotes. 2 quotes have been received. The cost of the backstop will come from ARPA grant funds. Currently, there's a balance of available of $890,000. So we have 2 bids, approximately $24,900 each. And so they're looking for approval. I'll let.
Where's Homeland Fence, by the way?
They're both out, Homeland is out of
Right
Schroeder.
here.
So, all right, so this is to go ahead and put the backstop on there. Before we go into the discussion on the bid on this backstop, I know there's some concerns about the use of the ball field itself. For practice field, we have done multiple recreation and hunt park discussions with residents. And the need was, and this is where it came from, was we need more places for our youth to practice and even softball. It was brought to my attention though, it was like, there's a lot of citizens that want more than just a practice field, that to say, hey, if we're gonna do this, what would it take to actually expand it to a bigger field? So that we can utilize that same field for tournaments as well. Do you wanna, say
Well, I
anything
just
about
know
that?
it, when we've had those recreational meetings about what they wanted to see at Hunt Park, they mentioned having another ball field, for tournaments. I mean, they have several tournaments there, but they could also use it as a practice field, even if it's a whole ball field. And so I don't understand why, I mean, I don't know what the difference is between a practice field and a whole ball field. Is it smaller or?
Yeah, this field would just be, at this point, we were visioning getting a backstop there and then leaving it open for extra soccer practices or football teams or something like that. We could always add another field on there. If that's the desire of the council, I'll have to go get more quotes. But that shouldn't stop us from this project tonight. And then we would have to decide, are we doing this for Little League? Are we doing this men's league? Are we doing this female softball? Or there could be an option too where we just buy temporary fencing, and there could be temporary fencing put out there in the outfield for tournaments or something like that.
Okay, well, I talked to a couple of the people that were there that mentioned another ball field. I went over to the area and spoke with them about it. And I said, I know, I call it the baseball field is the main field, and the other one to me is a softball field. But, so I said, if we could make it as big as the softball field, would that be okay? And they were like, yes, because they use the softball field now when they have tournaments. So it wouldn't have to really be any bigger than what that softball field over there.
So,
But soccer could still practice inside that
Yeah.
field.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could.
And Little League could still practice inside that field.
You
Even
could
if
have
it's
a-
a big field, they could still practice.
A movable outfield fence as well.
because someone
That's
also
what
brought
I'm
up the point that they do flag football during the summer for a couple months,
Right.
utilizing that grassy space too, where that fence would probably encroach upon.
Well, when
So
I
that's
see
where
them
maybe
do
the
flag football, they've done it inside the baseball field.
So it's big enough. I don't know how much space they need for flag
I've always
football.
just seen them do it inside the current baseball field that they
Okay.
have.
So when you have Little League and like Senior League or like the travel ball teams, is there gonna be like who gets is it come first serve, or is it like, hey, Little League gets first dibs if they're gonna have practice at whatever times, like you need to coordinate it with what? Or can these different organizations show up at the same time, and then you're gonna have like, hey, my team practices at this time, my team practices at this time, where else am I supposed to practice? Is it gonna be
With soccer, there's a practice schedule. With Little League baseball, it's first come, first serve.
I think that's how it's always been.
so this one's gonna be the same way? Like if they have men's league or they have baseball or like men's league at night during the summer, but yet like other teams have practice, are they gonna be able to use that same field?
Probably wouldn't be any different than they are now, right?
They've
Just
been
give 'em one
doing
more
men's league
place.
and stuff for years, and there's not ever been a problem. They just
I
like
just know like there was an
practice it.
issue with Little League and the, Senior League and like the travel ball teams at one time. There was no fields to practice and everybody was trying to practice on one field and there was just not.
That's a good
Okay.
point.
I mean, I think there
It'd be
probably
great if there
has
was a
been an
schedule
issue.
online that.
Well, we talked about that, if we can get us a special events and recreation coordinator, that's exactly their job, they would be coordinating those fields, they'd be reserving fields with them.
But
We do
right now, we
give
try to
them
coordinate
field
as much as possible, but
Say,
in most of the time, it is first come, first served if it's not scheduled.
Yeah, at the front desk, they have a calendar, and usually like men's league will come bring in, or, you know, their schedule, we'll put it in there, or whatever other league, we'll put it in the calendar, and then we won't let, you know, they're supposed to reserve the field. And a lot of it's done through the parks, you know, department, the regular people, but we do put it in our calendar book so that and it is first come, you know.
So are the
it's
men's
on the
league, are they charged a fee for the field and lights and stuff like that?
They are not, because they're considered a city league.
I
So
thought it was a private.
is the flag football considered city, or is that a private thing?
If they use the lights, they have to pay for the lights.
Is that just a one-time, I mean, you have a meter, so how do you,
I'm sorry, what?
to collect the fees for that, I mean, how do you know how much to charge?
How we charge, we've got a paper in there that tells us how much they are for tournaments and different things, but the lights, we do charge, almost everybody for the lights because that's an actual cost to the city, and it's $10 per hour per field. And I might be wrong, they might be charged for the lights, I would have to go back and look.
Because if they're a city league, if they're considered a city league and if you put a team in, you pay for the league, you pay for the team.
Yeah, they're
Where's
not
that
charged
money
for the
going
field,
if
but
they're
they
not pay-
might
if
be
they're
charged
not
for the
having
lights.
to pay?
Yeah, I'd
Like,
have to
where's
do
the
Yeah,
money
I'm pretty
going?
sure they're charged. for
Yeah,
that.
They are
I think
charged
they
for the
are.
lights.
Okay.
For the
So I
men's, when they
apologize,
have the men's games at night?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're charged for the light.
Yeah.
We've gone back and forth because the cities, we used to do a recreational program and we tried to help out all the little leagues and the football and the men's league. And then we tried to say, all right, all these little organizations get $500 or whatever, however they want to spend it per organization, because we wanted to have recreation for our youth and our adults and all that stuff. Then we get another manager in that says, no, we shouldn't be doing that. And then we go backwards. And then we get another, you know, so it's always back and forth a little bit on direction on that. Currently, we don't have a Parks and Rec director or events coordinator, which would be kind of tying in with that. We are suggesting to do that in the budget. So,
Well, I think we need to be consistent.
mhm.
I don't think. we're gonna
And that's
be charged
usually our
one
goal
group
when we do
for
everything.
lights.
is
So
we-
just
have
to keep
another
us
group
back
in
though on track though for
Okay.
tonight's topic
Sorry.
for this, no,
No.
cause like, you know, I know, this is what we want, so I agree, and so we'll talk about it more in the budget.
Okay.
But, I mean, it relates to a certain extent on what kind of field do we want? So do we need to table this till we decide what kind of field we need, and do we want temporary fencing so we can utilize it for that
This
purposes?
tonight would not stop us
Okay,
from just including the outfield. I'll just have to go back and get more quotes for the outfield and bring that back to you guys. And then in the meantime, I could decide how far back that outfield would be and bring that to you guys in the next meeting.
okay.
But
This is the
if we
backstop.
got this would just be the backstop and kind of the dugout area. And then that'll at least get us started on building a field.
I appreciate that,
Okay.
so.
So you just wouldn't leave it as a practice field?
Yeah, at this point, if that's the direction we wanna go in the general plan and all that vision, yeah, we could build that out for sure, it wouldn't be hard. I would just have to get quotes and bring that back to you guys.
Okay.
Yes,
So is this county property or is it city property?
it's county, but we've got an agreement with them that we get full use of it. I mean, our pool is county, you know what I
Okay.
mean,
So
Yeah,
I'd
so.
like-
the whole park is
And
county.
we've talked to them and we're in talks with them
I
to
was like, I don't want
see
them to come in and be like, oh, we're gonna use this for
Yeah.
blank.
And they won't, they would have to do it with the whole playground equipment and basketball courts, everything except for the library is county property
Yeah.
there.
And is there any funds coming from the county to?
No, but we're in talks with them to see if we can negotiate maybe some kind of a ownership.
When you say we're in talks with them, who's involved in those talks?
I've spoken with the county manager to see if there's, and I don't know if you were involved at all before, but we talked to him and said, hey, this is a concern that council members have had and citizens. And he said they are open to some negotiations and we just gotta come up with an agreement, whether we wanna say, hey, will they sell it to us for $1? I'm just throwing this out there, this has not been discussed with the county, but there's some options to see if they can, do a land swap, we talked about that. We have that, so that's the negotiations. I've spoken with the county manager with just a brief discussion, and he was open to it because he's told me straight out that they have no intentions of trying to do anything to this property, so. Does that answer your question? All right, I'll go ahead and open the floor for a motion.
I make a motion that we approve Homeland Fence for $24,550 for the backstop fence.
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion?
Have we seen any of the work they've done? I'm pretty familiar with Frontier, but they're a good, reputable
Yeah.
company that's done
So,
150.
Homeland used to be, Navapache Fence. They're the fencing company
Okay.
that built the fence around the splash pad
Okay,
and
now,
a couple other projects.
I just didn't recognize the name Homeland.
Well, they did get their invoice wrong. Said to Holbrook School.
Oh,
Send it to Holbrook School.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. All right, any further questions or discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Oh, wait, do we have a motion and a second?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Who did our second?
Terry did.
I think I did.
Did you get that,
I
Lisa?
did.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, number 9, summary of current events. So let me get my list. A couple things. If you notice, we've got a couple of new planters out front of City Hall, and our wonderful clerk has said she's willing to get it up and going, and she's doing this kind of off hours as well to kind of get some flowers and things like that, making it look good. So we're looking for any kind of donations for the flower pots. So if anybody wants to help donate, any kind of, what are you looking for? Just seeds, or I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to ask questions on that.
Oh, yeah.
Get with Lisa if you're interested in donating something. So the planters right out front of City Hall here.
I got some local leaves and
Yeah,
some
no,
camel
it used to
thorn.
be at the police so we got plenty of those. So.
Okay.
So, I was able to meet with Zenny Homes on a couple of occasions, a couple of weeks ago. Zenny Homes is a new manufacturer coming. They've taken over the paper mill just outside of Snowflake. They're starting in the next few months. They have a plant there in Page, but they're looking to expand, and the paper mill area is a lot bigger. So they're hoping to hire 250 employees in the next couple months. And then in the next 3 years, they have it to get 1,000 new jobs in the area. So they will be looking to hire around this region. And so,
They're manufactured homes.
yeah, they're manufactured, they're still homes. They look almost like container homes. And so, but they ship all over. The CEO, I met him, he's actually worked with Bosch and Tesla, creating those plants. So it's a guy that actually has been in the business for a while. So just keep a lookout for them, because it will hopefully impact Holbrook as well. It's not that far of a drive there. Mr. Sullivan and I met with APS about a week or two ago. Janet Dean with APS, she saw one of our Facebook posts about citizens being upset about the tree that came down at the courthouse. So Janet reached out to me saying, hey, we have a grant program. You can get up to $10,000 in trees. And so we sat down and they said, hey, If you guys want up to $10,000 worth of trees around town, let us know, we can fill out a grant and get that. And they said the school district is able to get their own $10,000 grant as well, which would be nice, so we could plant a lot of trees. So if you have some ideas of where you'd like trees in the area, reach out to Mr. Sullivan. I was able to last week participate in a mayor roundtable put on by the Arizona Economic, AAED, Economic Development Association there in Williams. I was part of a roundtable with 4 other mayors. It was good, from Kingman, Page, Flagstaff, Winslow, and myself. And it was good just to hear what their thoughts are. We talked a little bit about Route 66 and collaborating from Kingman to Holbrook. So that was just a good meeting to have with them. Council members are working with Kit Batten Consulting to finalize suggestions from their committees for the general plan, and that should be brought back to the council by June for a review of the draft for the general plan. So each council member should be visiting with her soon if they haven't already. And also, just as an FYI, the charter ballot language should be coming out at the next council meeting or the first meeting in June. So we'll be able to get that over to the election committee and get that on the upcoming election. And that is all I have for now. Vice Mayor Nilsson.
Community meals every Thursday at the senior center. They've been a success. We tried it for a month and we lost a little bit of money, but we did well enough that we want to continue on. And so every Thursday from 11 to 1, we thought at first it'd be a good thing for people to call and make a reservation. It turned out people were scared by that. So just come. Just come. Teresa McKenzie is our cook. She's excellent. Tomorrow is roasted chicken. So please come. Or call for takeout.
And that's open for everyone, right?
Everyone.
It's not like
Everyone. But it's
age above.
the seniors tend to be the ones that spend the whole 2 hours.
It's only for 60 rolls.
Only for those taggers.
Alright,
That's
thank you.
all.
Anything else? Councilman Black.
On the community meals, you just gotta get there before Terry, cause every time I've been after Terry, they say it's all gone, so let's just work for the wiser.
Pick on Terry.
Poor Terry.
I don't have anything.
Alright, Councilwoman in Church. Councilwoman Tafoya.
Let me see. The cleanup day
Oh, yeah.
was really good. I don't think as many signed up down at the courthouse that morning to go and clean up in different areas. But with the amount of people that were dumping over at the transfer site, just having it free that day was awesome. So even though they were in the community, you knew they were cleaning up their yards and different things like that, which the community, but not designated areas down, Hopi and Navajo. So it was really, really good to see that amount. And then that dumpster that was at Gillespie Park when they kept it that extra day was just overflowing with the amount of stuff. So I just thought it was a really, really, really good thing. At first I was disappointed because there weren't very many people down there, but it turned out
So
really good.
on the road between my neighborhood and the church, the LDS church, I didn't go down. But I was there with 7 other people. And I doubt anybody had signed up to go there. Sorry.
But
You
we
should
do
have gone down and signed up so they'd have known you were there. And graduation is coming up, just so that you're aware of that. Is it the 23rd?
Yeah, next Friday.
Next Friday. And so there will be grad night, all night grad night, so
Junior high, I think it's Thursday.
yeah, graduate or promotion is the day before
Yeah,
on Thursday. So that's things that are coming up with the school, and I think that's all.
Oh, they have their senior
Alright,
cruise
thank
this
you.
Friday too.
They have what?
Their senior cruise.
Here, we'll let you talk about it in a minute.
You can do
Councilwoman, you have the senior, Councilwoman Pack.
The car show is gonna be this Saturday, or?
No, May 30th and 31st.
Okay, May 30th to 31st, so I know that there's some older people that are really interested in that, my father-in-law.
That's during
But-
West Fest, right?
Yeah, it's Old West Fest on Route 66.
And I also noticed the road going parallel to Hopi Drive, the one that goes kind of, actually the Joy Nevins, it goes back there. It looks like you guys been cleaning up back there, yeah? So that looks nice, I noticed that, so, good.
Thank you. Councilwoman Pacheco.
You guys said everything.
Except for the senior cruise.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be here.
There'll be a senior cruise. So just be aware there's senior activities and kids out and things like that. So slow down, pay attention to what's going on out there.
And they
So-
always need volunteers for grad night, so if anybody wants to volunteer.
Oh, I also noticed that, I think Snowflake has been copying us with their grad pictures
Oh,
on
yeah.
their
Their posts.
podcast.
So,
Good job.
I like it. So, all right. With that, we'll turn it over to Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I met with a company called Carbon Utility. They are looking at locating here in Holbrook, and they like one of our properties. So I reached out to them. We are working on, I worked on a draft agreement with them. So I may ask for a special meeting next week. They're looking to move pretty fast on this. They have shipping containers coming from UK, and these shipping containers, I don't know how they do it, but they're collecting CO2 from the air, and then they market it. So they like our location. They like they've been working with the city of Tucson and U of A, and every time they turn around, they kind of get a roadblock. So I've been working with them, and they're pretty excited to move forward. And that shipping container's on its way, so they're trying to kind of hurry up and find a place. So that might be coming next week. Hopefully you guys are open to that. The weather the last couple weeks has kind of shut us down on concrete, but we have, now that it's been nicer, we have been able to pour curb on 13th. We've poured a radius and gutter on 12th Avenue. We've had to pull out some more apron from the pool. We've poured that today, and then we had a little section around Paul Ortega's place on Joy Nevin. We were, when we rebuilt that road, he had to re-level his entranceway to his whatever that is, basement or whatever. So he got that leveled. We were able to pour that today as well. So now we're just gonna be waiting on Paul to come back with the doors on that. We started cleaning up the old recycling yard. We had a lot of bins in there and a lot of metal from our cleanup day. So we're gonna get that cleaned up and get that looking presentable. The 4 police vehicles that were purchased in this budget year were done today. So we went down and picked them up. So they should be, once they get decals on them, they should be in operation next week. They're pretty nice vehicles. May 17th, we have a bunch of volunteers that are coming in. We're gonna shut the gym down from 8 to 1, and we're gonna do a deep cleaning in there. So move in equipment, move in pads, that kind of stuff, deep cleaning, putting it back into operation. So I want to give a shout out to all those volunteers that are willing to come in for that.
So you don't need any more?
I think we were shooting for 10, and the last I heard we have 20. So, and then same thing. I wanted to the day after the cleanup, I thought went well. I reached out to Cindy Tafoya, and we both had kind of mixed feelings because there wasn't as many people on the ground, it seemed like, compared to last year. But I mean, the amount of cleanup, it had to make a huge difference just for Sam's been working for the city for 20 years, and he said, I've never seen cars lined up down Bucket of Blood Street before. So kudos to everybody cleaning up, and hopefully we keep that up with this new rate. We really appreciate that. With the car show coming up, we are encouraging businesses along Hopi and that corner to clean up. It's not everybody, but there's a couple businesses right there that we're encouraging to remove some broken down vehicles and that kind of stuff, and prep for that. There's also a section of the parking lot at Gillespie that's broken up and it's sunk way deep. We're pulling that and we're gonna have that poured next week or the week after in time for the car show as well. June 9th, we have Arizona water preservation coming in. It's a free service. They go around the state and ask communities if we have help or if we need help with identifying potential water breaks or water lines, anything that we may think of. So we've enlisted them to come June 9th, and they're gonna work on 8th Avenue, 6th Avenue in Florida, and to see if they can't help us detect any leaks or give us a report on what their thoughts are on that project. And that's all I have.
You mean Black Springs there on 8th Avenue?
Natural Spring on 8th.
And I'm a new grandpa.
I have one more thing.
Yes.
I forgot it.
Yeah.
Run for the Wall tomorrow will be coming through town. They will be at the Legion, and so it's a pretty neat thing. They go by the schools and stuff, so.
And the street department has been doing a lot of patchwork and trying to
Yeah, I
clean up
noticed that they
street.
did one up by the Legion. They actually put it on Facebook. Kudos to the city for, so I was glad to see a kudos finally.
So, no, we appreciate that. And yeah, one last thing, just to clarify too, it's Old West Fest on Route 66, and that'll be Friday the 30th at the fairgrounds, and they have the Battle of the Bands, and then on Saturday morning is when they close down Hopi for the actual Route 66 portion of the Old West Days. And that's when the car show will be on that Saturday morning, so.
I think there's a couple of tables still available.
Yes, they are still looking for vendors, so,
Oh,
and
for
cars,
the Gillespie
so.
Park?
It'll be on Hopi, so the car's there. So they are looking for more cars, classic cars to show up. They're looking for more vendors. We're always looking for volunteers.
Is that posted anywhere other than Facebook?
I think it's been in the paper and Facebook.
I only saw one banner over by Safeway.
And I know I talked to Cindy Tapoya and she said she's got like 4 or 5 more banners they'll be popping up all over town here too. So I think she said it was 4 or 5 of them, so. Great. All right, item number 10, submission of written petition for items not on the agenda.
There are none.
So item number 11, executive session. This was the mayor and the city council may convene into executive session pursuant to the statute with designated representatives of the city to consider its position. And it's instructed its representatives regarding negotiations for the purchase of real property. I'm gonna ask that we just table this one for now. We didn't get all the updates that we were hoping for at this time, so we'll table that. So, I make a motion to table, the executive session.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions, discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. All right, with that, item number 12 is adjournment at 7:27.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Vice Mayor Nilsson has a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All right, we'll take about a 8-minute break. We'll start at 7:35 for our work session. Where do you guys want? I got, there's Mike Legs here. What's he down? He's
I broke a chair down there one time. I'm afraid to go down.
I told you I'd wheel you down in your chair.
So when did those people get arrested?
Huh?
On Saturday?
I can go right in there while we're doing it.
Bunko Bandit.
Oh, Bunko, yes, they get, yes, on Saturday.
I'm being arrested down there for Old and I'm the Bunko Bandit.
Can you get me at a
So
different
you
time
have
by
to
the
give me
council?
money to get me out.
Just to keep it
All right.
appropriate, so, is that all right? But call me.